So Team 10, whenever you're ready, you can jump in.
Go off mute. Can you see the screen, Troy?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So Team 10, our how might we was how can we create an individualized family-centered approach from arrival to departure? And what we were really trying to prototype today was a space that adapts with time, acuity, and with baby and family. So the whole idea was sort of like, oops, how do we keep the baby and family in place and not move them as their acuity changes, but sort of have the space transition around the baby. So we looked at this from sort of a schematic level of the whole department, and then we looked at it from more of like the room level. So I'll just walk through the little floor plan that we had here. This idea, the sort of big idea was this sort of external corridor around the unit that you would have access to, say, some kind of a garden. It would be sort of floor to ceiling daylight, and families would sort of enter through a secure checkpoint and access their space from that corridor. So we had this sort of separation between the family entrance and the sort of clinical core at the center. And that sort of allowed us to have this nice sort of access to nature and to sort of separate the exposure to sounds of acute care and sights and smells of acute care. So it's sort of one way of thinking through that transition. So there's a lot of detail there, but that was the sort of basic idea. And between that, you know, movable walls. So the story gets into opening up these rooms between babies if there's multiples or babies that don't have family present. Trying to think about flexibility that way. So again, it's all about keeping the baby and family in place, and things change around them. Staff comes to them. I'm sure I missed a lot of things on that, but I'll, for the sake of time, switch over to our room itself. So we were again thinking about this adaptation of time and acuity. And so how does that look from admission to discharge? And so we kind of took the room into 4 different stages. So the admission stage, we had what would be like a couplet care room. So we had some examples here that we pulled online, but the idea is that you have mom recovering next to baby, and that you have a partner area as well. And the staff would access from the right, and the partner or family access from the left side. As the acuity changes, the equipment would change within the space. So that open incubator and mom's bed would move out once the baby's in acute care, and you'd have space for larger equipment, and that closed incubator and your family space remains there. We had ideas like the communication dashboard and opacity and translucent windows, so bringing technology in to make this a little bit more transparent. We talked about lighting zones. The whole idea is really just like the family stays in place. So as you reach step down, you've got more of an open bed. You move in equipment like bouncers and play mats, and you have that ability to accommodate the baby's milestones that way, as well as into discharge. This was really sort of about then sort of decoupling people from staff, creating that sort of isolation, sort of pulling the cords off, if you will, removing monitoring, and helping family build the confidence, you know, that they're ready to go home with their baby without the sort of 24 care support. And that's kind of where this corridor idea stemmed from originally, is like, I just want to be able to take my baby for a walk and have that sense of what it's like to separate from care after a long NICU journey. And so that's kind of where the whole walk and having that feeling of the outdoor breeze on your baby came from. It's sort of to bring it back home. But that's that was our idea. And if anyone else on my team is on the call and wants to add, please do.
Great, awesome, Colleen. Thank you
Good
so much. Great job. I'm just gonna keep recording and hope I can splice it later. So no pressure to stay on, but if you have time, I'm assuming you want to listen to this because it's amazing. That was not meant to be pressure. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
I'm just glad we're not the only ones who forgot to record.
Oh, we didn't forget. We just ran out of time.
All right.
Yeah, like I said, 14.5-hour workshop in person. 8 hours virtual. You guys, if you guys give us feedback when we send out the survey and say that you could tolerate longer days, we'll do longer days in the future. Hopefully we'll also be back in person. But you guys have just done so amazing with this. I know it feels, I'm repeating myself, I know it feels different, but I want to tell you that you just did so amazing. Okay, I'm sorry. Mindy, go ahead. Or Mindy's team, I should say.
Okay. Yes. So what I'm thinking about, team, is if, Mohammed, if you could share our Miro board, maybe Kyle, you can run us through some of the big ideas. Enrique, you could bring us to, what our goal was for our solution, and then I'll run through the PowerPoint that shows the evolution of that. So Mohammed, if you could share, Kyle, you could kick us off, Enrique, you could jump in, and I'll close us up.
Yes.
It just jumped to our how would you.
So you want to
We
explain?
can go
what
through
is-
this part quickly.
Yeah, these are just,
How
this is just where we began, user experience space. These are kind of the areas of identification that we picked out in that kind of first period of collaboration on the first day. If you go to the ID8s below, the colored ones. From there is where we started to come up with ideas to go for how would you, which was how may we accommodate evolving family and babies' needs over length of stay to provide best family-centered care. That's where we ended up on day one. From there today, we went to our top 3 ideas, which I think we listed out. Yes, so we landed on 2 because we felt 1 and 3 would feed into 2. So improving the patient and family experience was the ideal one. And then how does the growing needs of the baby and the family and all that storage of that kind of evolutionary process of family, patient, and staff feed into that? And then also how does technology and documentation, all that feed into number 2? So we thought number 2 was the one to go forward with. And then we started prototyping.
That's me,
Okay.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Share a little bit about what we wanted to focus in on.
Well, our what we decided to focus on was to develop a prototype unit that would provide maximum flexibility. The concept was to have 4 universal patient rooms to be able to respond to different combinations of mother-baby acuity levels, and also be able to provide family accessibility to the spaces so they could have private bonding time with mother and child, newborn. And our assumptions, one of our primary assumptions and issues was the fact that when we combine within the unit different acuity levels, there are going to be some challenges that relate to the staff skill levels, and they would be dynamic challenges, because each level of acuity requires a higher level. As you move up in the level of acuity, it requires higher skill sets and more sophisticated equipment to treat the infant and sometimes the mother. And we did test the idea of maximum flexibility, and we came out with a whole bunch of prototypes and combinations. And the concept was a four patient pod tied to a central core that would have supports and outside spaces. And I think that's where Mindy comes in, right?
Yes, sir. And Mohammed, I'll start sharing my screen. Okay. All right, can you see this? My PowerPoint? Yes, okay. So I didn't exactly capture, I think, our full purpose, but we wanted to accommodate the needs of the baby and the mom and the family throughout the entire length of stay. So we started with this pod concept, which was 4 patient rooms together that could be replicated. So this pod of babies, potentially toilets and support space. You know, what would that look like if it was twins or rooming in for multiples? Then what if we introduced moms? So how can we accommodate couplet care? So again, you've got these 4 patient rooms that could be either used as baby space, rooming in space, or space for mom. And then what if there were multiples? You know, could we have space for 1 baby and a mom, twins, and potentially 3 babies? So then really that pod starts to shift a little bit. So you're thinking about this as a family unit. It was also important to identify family space and identify an opportunity to get outside. Then if mom is discharged, what does that mom room become? Could that then become the family space? So you go from having baby and mom to your baby stays, mom is discharged, that becomes the family room. And then we started to talk about cross-trained staff, understanding that that's sometimes a hindrance with these models. You know, you've got a team that wants to take care of babies and you've got a team that wants to take care of mom. So how can we accommodate their needs within the larger unit? And then we kind of came back to this concept of, does the pod, you know, if we wanted to, it was really important for us to accomplish having that outside space. What about operable windows? What about the opportunity to bring the outside in without having to create a separate outside space? So could our 4-bed pod in our little family suite that we've created have space for baby and family and an outside space? And then we started to think beyond just our little 4-bed pods to, could we incorporate postpartum mom within the NICU as well, right? So literally having the postpartum unit adjacent to the NICU. So the top would be just postpartum moms with babies and family members, you know, or your traditional model, but it's across the unit from the NICU. And then that evolved into, if we replicated the pod configuration that we had at the lower level and we mirrored that along with the core, how could our pod concept for the NICU be incorporate postpartum as well? So really trying to marry all of these needs, all of these desires, and create flexible, universal rooms that one day could be a NICU room, the next day could be a room for mom, the next day could be a family suite, the next day could be an outside space. So just ultimate flexibility with these pod configurations. And we started also talking about the need for staff respite and sibling play areas, diagnostic and treatment, you know, so starting to think holistically about what the departmental needs would be. And Diane, did we miss anything?
Nope, you got it all.
Thank you, team 6. And then was it team 7 was our last team?
Yep, that's me.
All right,
I'm the
go ahead,
last one
Eric.
standing, it looks like.
Are you the last one from your team standing?
Yeah.
All right.
So I will be presenting, and that was a great one, though, but mine will be a lot shorter. So,
Thank you, Erica.
Now you see why we didn't get to recording.
right.
Some of
Ours
me
was
is
more because of
long-winded.
technical difficulties. So, but okay, so during the empathy stage, we decided to focus on the lack of privacy for families while balancing the need of patient visibility, as well as placement of ancillary spaces to meet the needs of the families. We wanted to find out how we might achieve both interaction and intimacy at all levels of the NICU for infants, families, and staff. We decided the best way to do this would be create a NICU neighborhood with a central area, which could be subdivided to meet the needs of family and staff. This open area would include a centralized nurse station, family gathering space, educational sessions, multidisciplinary collaboration spaces, physical therapy, and sibling play area. The adjacent patient rooms with decentralized nurse stations would have a dedicated family space within where the family can have privacy. The family would be adaptable, or the family space would be adaptable, so each family could customize their space with movable furniture, music selections, and adjustable lights, including levels and even accent colors. That was ours. Okay.
Great. Erica, thank you.
Awesome.
Great. We're done, right? We're 20 minutes over now, but if there's interest and you guys want to talk about, since we're on, if you want to talk about some of the ideas and share, you can. Otherwise, we'll end the call.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Like I said, amazing job. Thanks for all of your hard work over the past week, two Thursdays.
Thanks for your leadership, Troy.
Of course, Enrique, thank you for always being here. I appreciate that, Enrique.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a great
Thank
experience.
you.
Great. Awesome. Take care. Students, there's a debrief going on right now on another line, and we'll be in touch. I'll reach out to you guys, and maybe Syed Mohammed, you're at Clemson, right?
Yes.
And Homa, you're at Texas A&M?
Plus A&M, yeah.
Perfect. So I would love it. I know a couple of you said that